Hello, we're here for a holistic creative chat, and today's guest is artist Arna Baartz, who lives in Australia. I'm so excited to have you with us, Arna. Arna is an artist and the founder of a program called the I Am program, which I'm hoping you'll get to tell us a little bit about today as well. What I love about Arna is that you make an intention to consciously integrate body, mind, and spirit into your creative practice. And you, through that, have experienced the connection between creativity and healing. So welcome.
Hi.
And yeah, absolutely. And in addition, Arna is one of the Spectrum 2015 contributors as well this year. So super excited to get a chance to chat with you this way. So normally we just begin, Arna, if you could just talk a little bit about your creative process.
Okay, well, some may have seen some of the stuff that I've done, little videos here and there. They're not very professional yet, but I'm getting there. My creative process really is driven by freedom of expression and the maybe kind of a new age idea, I don't know, or kooky idea that we are completely okay as we are, and we have the absolute right to be happy and to express ourselves in any way that we feel we need to. And I guess, you can say as long as it's not hurting anyone else, but really basically just centering in our bodies. And that's my process, to come into me and to be more feelings connected. And I believe that connects us to everything. And so therefore, you're channeling all sorts of wonderful inspired ideas onto the paper, if we're talking art. Creative process.
Absolutely. So as far as your art making goes, do you consider it then an intuitive process, or how do you speak about that? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh,
sorry,
good.
I don't know what happened. Might have been an internet moment.
So I asked, as far as the art making goes, do you consider it an intuitive process? Because we hear about intuitive art all the time. Or how does that work for you?
Well, I do, but I think we like to label things because it makes it easier for our mind to kind of understand. But intuition, I just think it's about being present. And so it is an intuitive process because I'm right there and present in my moment. And I'm also now I've trained myself to listen to me. And so when I'm painting, if a question comes to my mind or a question about my own work, or why has that happened? Why have I used that symbol? Why has the bird appeared all of a sudden on my paper? I am open to the answers. So intuitively, I'm learning all the time, and yes, connecting to it is intuitive art. I can tap into, if I think about something, I express what feelings come to me in relation to that thought. So in that respect, yes, the answer.
And I find, like, in my own practice, because I tend to, there's an interesting process that happens when we try to first get out of our mind, and then we get into sort of this intuitive zone when we're creating. And then I find that when those, for instance, that symbolism starts to come up, or that sort of universal imagery type stuff starts to show up, then it kind of almost transforms into a contemplative process. So it's like there's a reflection thing that happens there as well. So it almost shifts again from the intuition into this other space where...
Or into a healing space of some kind, yeah, for me.
Absolutely, yeah. That's beautiful.
I do find that. I find that's really a big part of it. And I think over the years I've done a lot of emotional and spiritual growth through art. I've come to the page not being aligned and started to play and found myself falling into alignment. So I've learned to recognize that centering or that connection to everything through my art. And now I'm more aligned and more connected more of the time. So I'm finding that the joy and the kind of reward of art is bigger for me because I'm spending more time really present. And I think that is probably the ticket is the presence, because and all sorts of things can happen. You can ask the questions, then you can get into the space to receive the answers, two different spaces, and you can recognize the difference between the spaces. And so I find art is such a playful and potentially, it has so many options for expression to discover and become aware of yourself.
Yeah, I find it's both spontaneous and rich with meaning all at the same time. It's just all of that and then some.
It is. And also for me, I've noticed in my kind of in the teaching side of the arts practice, and remembering back to the beginnings of my own emotional or personal development through art, as well as other stuff. But I've found that a lot of people are frightened to make that first mark, or think that the art needs to be done in a particular way in order for there to be an outcome, a pleasing outcome or result. And it's a little veil over the truth of what it's all about, which is really experiencing and learning and becoming. And if we can just push past that, as my beautiful father, who's also an artist, said, every mark is art. And for me, I'm repeating that all the time. If anyone watches my videos, they've seen me say it, dozens of times. But yeah, it's getting past all of those preconceived ideas and judgments and into the moment. And in the moment, you can feel whether you're frightened, or you can feel whether, there's further to go or deeper, or you just want to get up and walk away and have a cup of tea. You know where you're at.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So speak a little bit about the embodied experience of presence work, because you talk about the embodied aspect and how it brings you into your body. If you could speak a little bit to that right now, that'd be beautiful.
Okay, well, it makes me want to go back, and I don't want to keep you here for hours, but it makes me want to go back to before, when I was disassociated more from my physical body. And I think to varying degrees, most of us have experienced that, and probably just from being an innocent child and being kind of shocked a bit out of our body, or away from, frightened of our feelings. I think that's probably the simplest way to put it, frightened of what it feels like to be emotional human being. And I remember desperately wanting to be happier. And I think I met this lady once, and she just said to me, one of the most powerful things I've ever done is stand on a mountaintop and call to the world, I am willing to change and to be free. And at the time I was fairly innocent, but I thought, well, I just want to change. I just want to be free. So this makes sense. So I literally went up to the top of a mountain and screamed, I'm willing to change and be free. And it felt really strange to do it, but it was also liberating. And so I did it a few more times. And it set the ball rolling, because before then I had struggled with art, and just as I'd said earlier about breaking through that initial judgment, that I'd struggled with that, having grown up with art and not feeling as good as everybody around me, basically. And I had always wanted to feel this freedom, and I knew that it was possible. And I'd started reading very early spiritual texts and other kinds of personal development stuff around the age of 16. So I was already on the journey. And when I made that huge affirmation, I didn't realize quite the extent of what I was asking for. And so almost immediately I began experiencing actual energy rushes through my body. And this was after the birth too of my 6th child and my only daughter at that time, which was also very significant. So I started to put all the little pieces together, and the jigsaw started to come in, that this was my path and that I was actually becoming more of me. And I was terrified, absolutely frightened of these feelings that were coming into my body. But just over time, I kept experiencing that, and I guess people would call it a Kundalini awakening time. But I have come to realize that Kundalini is life, and that we're all alive. So therefore, we're all experiencing a level of Kundalini energy, or whatever we want to call it. But when you intend and when you're ready, it can really start pouring through the body, and it can be quite nerve-wracking. So art then was also a very big option, a very beautiful option for me to deliver some of this energy, to get it flowing.
Sure.
And to discover more of what was actually going on within me. And then over the years, it's sort of, that was 15 years ago now. So over the years, I've learned a lot more about the subtleties of it. And I asked not long after that experience for it to calm down a little, to go a little slower for me. And I'm picking up a bit more now. So I think what I'm saying is, as far as the arts process is concerned, I am definitely in touch, and I think we can all be very in our body. And I think it really is about being in the body and feeling what's going on, and recognizing that just our aliveness and the presence that we feel is a power beyond a small brain's ability to comprehend. So you're sitting there in front of a paper with a pen, and that is amazing. So you're alive. So this is what I'm learning about the Kundalini energy, or the energy in relation to art, is that it is you. Every little piece of this is who we really are. So all of it we can become really fascinated by it.
It's awesome, literally. The wonder of it. Yeah.
It is. And if we only all knew that from very little, which is, we can talk about the I Am program. Yeah. If we only consciously were aware of how connected we are to all around us, how directly connected we are to everything, and how highly spiritual and wonderful and it is, we would become so fascinated. We'd be so excited to be here, excited to meet anything or creature along the way, because we're looking at a piece of something just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that.
That's art. That's what art is to me. It's just another bit of us.
So the question I ask everybody is, how do you define healing today?
Oh, how do I define healing? Well, let's go intuitively. So the first things that come to my mind is something I've actually looked at, a definition of healing. The first things that come to me is that it's a personal thing. It's a personal journey of healing, that we are healed already, whole, that everything that we seek for outside of us is within us. And the fact that it might seem an irony that I would say we're whole and healed, and yet at the same time we might be seeking healing, is that it's just a lack of recognition of our wholeness, and a focus on what feels not right about us, instead of an awareness of what's not okay, an honouring of what's not okay as an indicator, and then a focus back on ourselves as okay. That kind of what is where I go with the healing.
Absolutely.
But I think that, good. That's great. Not everybody does.
Yeah. It's both healing and healed simultaneously. It's like the paradox of it, the seeking and the no need to seek all at once.
Yeah, the remembering, just the awakening. I suppose that's the most one of the, we've heard the word for years now, since probably 1986 it became, or 1984, a big thing, the idea of awakening.
Yeah.
And it was many, many years before that. There were some pioneers, but there's always been a visionary. Yeah. But awakening, and I think that's what it's like. And I think that's why there's so many zombie movies out there at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I love that you said that.
Crazy.
I'm with you.
Yeah. And so, everything's just a metaphor for our own awakening.
It's so true.
Yeah, just waking up little bit by little bit. Have you ever had a dream, lucid dreaming? I remember once I don't lucidly dream, really. I'm mostly just a normal dreamer. But one night I woke up in a dream for just a moment, and I thought, oh my God, I'm awake, and it felt so wonderful. And I thought, I can fly. And so I just zoomed off and then right into a brick wall because I had to look where I was going. But when I woke up in the morning, I thought, that's what it's. Here we go, exactly. Just to end that bit about the dream is just that that awakening in your dream, I liken that to what we're capable of in life, you know, that sudden awareness which enables a kind of instant manifestation. But that would probably be a bit dangerous. So now we're doing slow awakening and understanding our creative potential.
Yeah.
Slowly. Yeah.
Down at a pace that makes sense to the physical existence that we're moving through. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to understand how, well, number one, we have to understand how it works, I guess, moment by moment. And when we're bringing it into practice, we need to practice it.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautifully said. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about the I Am program now, because I want to learn more about this.
The I Am program is something that I came upon about 5 years ago. It's something that I'd been working on for quite a while, and it was to do with emotional intelligence and realizing everything that we've been talking about. And we've been talking more on a quantum mechanics level, I guess, or quantum physics. So because we can understand that, but the mainstream's not really into that, especially the education system. And so I could see with the little bits of work that I was doing with children, art, and some self-esteem workshops that I was participating in and things like that, that this is a great potential for change. We've got 30 at least children in one little classroom, and they're all coming from different places and different environments, but they're in one spot. And if we could offer them an option daily, then we could help to, because everything's conditioning anyway and programming. So I thought if we could bring some kind of positive conditioning into their classroom each day, it'd be like, you know, you can teach your children are powerful. They're not just children, they're amazing entities, and they're at a space where they can be reminded easily of their power and of who they are. So I developed, I wrote a book called I Am Inspiration, which has now been re-edited, needs more editing, and changed into EI Ed. And it's just a big book full of lots of ways to bring this kind of awareness of self and empowerment to children in the classroom in a way that the mainstream can kind of cope with it. Sure. And it's got arts connected workshops, lots of resources I've created. I just went crazy one year and just went boom, and all this stuff came out. And it's amazing stuff, and it's been used in a few different places, had some great reviews from the government, and
that's wonderful.
And yeah, it's just slowly moving its way into the world, and I've used it with children in the classroom, and it's really beautiful stuff, just about knowing who you are, coming back and becoming, as we said earlier, fascinated with you as a connection to all that is, and therefore opening up that divergent thinking and the mind, and turning these little people who are going to be our leaders. So let's do something now. I'm giving them some huge options and some positive values to work with, and a kind of sneaking in of quantum physics and universal power and deliberate creation to the mainstream. So,
oh, Arna, I just love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much. What beautiful work you're doing in the world. I'm so excited to have you contributing to Spectrum this year and to be able to have this chat with you. So,
well, it's been wonderful. I'm enjoying it. I'm sitting in the sun. The sun's creeping over, and it's a hot Aussie sun. So
and you've had a black cat lingering behind you too. I don't know. It's beautiful.
We call that magic cat.
Yes, the magic cat.
Wherever I am, especially when I'm in this state of alignment and excitement, she is wandering around giving her input.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Arna. He's not so spiritual. A physical being.
Thank you again, Arna, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Mhm.